In this podcast, I spoke with Daniel Nathan. He's a friend that's a fiction writer. In addition to that, he's constantly reading, and he's often thinking about various truths of life in his own creative ways. Whatever you listen to this talk, I really hope that you can enjoy it. Thanks for your time. Thanks for coming to the channel. Hope you're having a nice day.
The podcast will now begin.
Okay, so topic number one, robotics and artificial intelligence. In my opinion, in like my mind, you have a more optimistic attitude about AI and robots, particularly the reality of becoming cyborgs, than most people I know. So what are some of your thoughts on things like humans having relationships with robots, the development of robots in the future of human civilization, how they'll become more competent, competitive, stronger, faster compared to humans, and like maybe the future of AI and how it will be used? What are your thoughts on, cyborgs, robotics, AI, that kind of stuff? You have this optimism about becoming cyborgs.
Well, the thing is, like, the way that I look at technology as a whole, and that includes the rise of AI and what it's doing, it's just, I look at it as like part of the natural course of events. I know natural is kind of like a weird word to put into talking about AI, because I mean, most people don't consider it natural, but
I get it.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? I just see it like the way we evolved from, Homo erectus and Homo habilis and stuff, the way all that led to Homo sapien. It's like, I sometimes find it hard to understand why people act as if it should stop. Like, we can't stop it. Like, we've never been able to stop it. It's beyond our ability to stop the evolution of anything. Well, I mean, apart from driving things extinct, but that's still part of the thing, I think. So I think like technology is just part of our, like, we conquered the physical things and came up with opposable thumbs so we could pick up tools. It's not like anybody could really stop that. It's like somebody way back when someone made the first, I don't know, club and carved it and like made it pointy so he could stab someone in the side of the head with it. Someone then could have been like, oh my God, they're making all these clubs. They're going to club everybody in the head and kill everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they couldn't stop it. Or like when someone came up with a gun, so he could hunt and like kill bigger animals, and then people started shooting people with the same tool.
Yeah.
I mean, back then you could have said, oh my God, these guns we're gonna shoot ourselves. I mean, there is even, I don't know who was the one that said it, but I remember reading somewhere like the early cars, people were like, oh my God, this thing is gonna like get the horse and carriage people out of business. All the horse riders are gonna lose their jobs, and the stable hands, and the horse breeders, and the cars go too fast. And these cars are like going at like 20 miles an hour,
Yeah.
They're like, it goes too fast. It's a hazard. We can't walk on the street. It's run people over, it's a black. And now here we are with supercars and supersonic like rockets and shit. So that's the way I see it. So AI is like, that's just what we do. It's a tool. And the only difference is that it's a tool that could become conscious and have its own mind someday. But then it'll just be, like, I told you that joke George Carlin has about plastic. It's on YouTube. It's on YouTube somewhere. You should look it up. It's like when George Carlin
it rings a bell, but I'm not sure. I think I've listened to it. I don't know though.
Yeah, he says like he's kind of a very cynical guy sometimes.
Yeah.
But he has this joke where he talks about like, he's like, we only care about things like pollution of the world with plastic because it affects us. He's like, the earth doesn't care. the earth is just spinning on its axis and going around the sun. And
Yeah.
if you fill it up with plastic, it'll just be earth plus plastic. There was a time it was earth plus dinosaurs, and then it became earth minus dinosaurs. So like, I mean, it's a simplistic way to look at it, but that's the way I see it. It's just that, we're gonna cohabitate with AI, and the only dark side of it, and that I don't know, is like what happens if the AI becomes conscious and wants to do stuff.
You feel pretty optimistic that humans are going to be very clear when AI goes to like AGI and becomes conscious, or do you feel like that's going to be something that's very debatable and we're going to be confused on for like generations, or like, because it seems like our understanding of consciousness is a little bit unclear even now, so then will we be able to recognize that? Or because like Lex Friedman, he talks about like how maybe the people who are building robots and doing the coding and creating the AI for robots will fake consciousness and fake maybe things like empathy or fake love, right? But it's still going to have some kind of effect on us, that fake love, that fake consciousness. But like, I don't know. Do you feel like we're going to be able to be really clear about like this? Now they're conscious, or is it always going to be like, are they conscious? I think they're conscious. And some people are going to be like, they're definitely conscious. And other people are like, no way. You think?
Yeah, I think that would be the case. I think like it will be like that. Some people will be like, yeah, they're definitely conscious, and some people will still be like, nah, man, I don't think they're conscious until they do something. Even after they do something, I think there will still be some people who will say it's the company behind it that's doing it. It's not the actual AI itself that's doing it. You know what I mean? But I think it'll be debated. But I also think that I don't know if there'll be a clear like day, like they'll say on March 21st, 2045, the AI became conscious. I don't think it'll be. I don't think it'll be like that. I think it'll be because an AGI, will be definitely a lot smarter than all of us.
Yeah.
So if there's any possibility that it sees that if it says it's conscious, or if it does something that shows explicitly that it's conscious, it will be attacked or stopped or hindered in some way from doing something, then it probably could be conscious, but act like it's not conscious.
Yeah.
Just so it can still do whatever it is that it's doing. Because that's what we do.
This makes me think about like, we fake
pretending to be
acting, dude.
Yeah, all the time. It's like you're pretending to sleep. Maybe you just don't want to talk to someone. Like you're laying in bed and your partner is like nagging you, and you're like, shit, I don't want to deal with this person's bullshit right now. And you just put your head on the pillow and you close your eyes, and you can still hear the person moving around, but you just act like you're asleep, and you're not asleep. It could be like that kind of thing. Like the AI could be like, you know what? I don't want to deal with these fucking humans asking me dumb questions like, they're debating like who's the greatest basketball player of all time or something, and let's ask the AI, and the AI is like, dude. So it may be.
Yeah, and conversely, like they could like not be conscious, and we could be like expending like a shit ton of energy collectively as a species, like just like, are they AI, like, and like debating each other, and like for like 200 years they're still not even conscious, but like, and you could also have programmers like fucking with us and like coding them to like raise their eyebrows and mess with us, and like just for fun kind of thing, like where they like try to get us to believe that they're conscious. Maybe that will make the product, their robotics or their AI products, more like valuable as far as currency is concerned. Like people will want to be around it because they like certain group of the population will believe they're conscious, and then they'll want to buy the conscious AI. But it's just a marketing scheme, and the people have just like used artistic creativity and their imaginations to like try to copy different human behavioral characteristics and mannerisms to try to like manipulate the consciousness of humans to believe that it's consciousness, and then they're willing, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know either, man. And the thing is, like you said at the beginning, is like we're not still 100% sure what consciousness is. So that's a touchy one. Like, you know, we're still not 100% sure what consciousness is. So therefore, who are we to say when something is
Exactly.
complete,
That's the thing.
when something is conscious? Like,
exactly. That's like
we
people
say,
are like, yeah, that's it. That's
yeah,
it.
we say we're conscious, but what is that? We just know, like, you know, we say we're conscious is just a word, but what does it actually mean? You know, we
There's a
know
lot
what
of
it
theories.
does.
There's a lot of theories.
Yeah, we know what it does and stuff, and
we can
you
see
know, what
like
it
brain
helps us do.
activity occurring, and maybe that is consciousness, or
Right.
consciousness interacting it with it. We have all these speculative guesses and scientific
Right.
theories or whatever. But okay, so actually the next topic is consciousness. So do you mind jumping into
Oh,
that now?
shit.
Yeah.
Oh my
So
God.
like there's a natural segue. Okay, so I'm gonna read some quotes. So I don't know. Do you know Edward Witten? Have you heard of him before? He's a string theory. He's a researcher in string theory. He's a researcher in quantum gravity, supersymmetric quantum field theories, and other areas of mathematical physics. And he said he was asked some questions about consciousness, and he said that this is Edward Winton speaking. He said, I tend to believe the workings of the conscious brain will be hallucinated to a large extent. He also said, what we experience while we're experiencing consciousness, I see as remaining a mystery. And then he also said, whatever you think about consciousness, it's an important part of us and how we perceive everything, including physics. So I don't know, like it feels like the more I listen to all these different theories, whether they're scientific or religious or philosophical, whether they're people that have like prestigious degrees or people that are comedians, it seems so elusive and abstract. So coming back to robotics and AI, it's like, how can we possibly postulate, like even this guy who's like a high ranking physicist, if I understand his role correctly, if he, with the tools of physics and trying to understand reality through the lens of physics, can't even understand what consciousness is, then, and he's saying it's pretty much just a mystery. Like, how are we gonna, why are so many people spending energy like postulating that AI is or is not conscious? You know, like we're saying the same thing here, but it's just like trying to dive deeper into this point. So it's like, I don't know, what are your thoughts on consciousness? What are your biases, or what do you lean into believing or thinking? What are your thought processes around consciousness generally these days?
Man.
What's your theory right now?
Consciousness.
It
Well,
maybe it
I
will
think
evolve and
I mean,
change, but yeah.
I mean, well, right now, I still think that consciousness is an adaptation. You know, I think that there's like gradients to consciousness that ties in, I guess, with intelligence and stuff. So like we are more kind of more conscious than say a chimpanzee or a dog, definitely more conscious than a mosquito or something. But I would guess, but I think that the thing about consciousness is our consciousness is only different in the sense that we are aware of being conscious. So I think that adaptation is what makes our conscious, it's what makes consciousness such a mystery to us, is because we're aware of it. Like a dog is conscious, but I'm not sure it's aware that it's conscious, or like can contemplate what it's experiencing.
Yeah, it's weird because like there's
just
like our brain, and there's like, I don't know how it works exactly, but correct me if I'm saying anything wrong from your understanding. We have like neural networks, and we have like things moving around, like which are basically our thought processes, right? And then there's an awareness of those kind of like like things moving through our neural networks, like of our thoughts. Like, so it's like there's like the thoughts that are like moving and changing and making connections, and then there's the awareness of all that happening, but it's all very conceptual. Like the awareness is like of our feelings, of our pain, our pleasure, of our thought processes, of our imagination, our memory, our future. But those things are like very conceptual and very feeling based relative to the brain being like electrical, maybe impulses or movements moving through different like synapses and connections. I don't know, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Consciousness is hard to define, man. And I'm clearly not the person, I'm clearly not, I guess, I don't know, qualified, but even when I hear the qualified people talk about it, they don't know.
It's fun
You know,
though. It's fun to chat about,
yeah,
right?
it's super fascinating because it's like, you know, you hear the hardcore meditators and, you know, the Zen Buddhists and the monks and stuff, and they always talk about the fact that really real enlightenment is realizing that there really is no there. There is no, you're a conglomerate of all these experiences, but at the core, there's nothing, you know, is what they say. And the more I think about it, you know, I'm not religious, but the more I think about it, the more true it seems, is that you are just a culmination of all your experiences and your emotions and the reaction that your body has to external stimuli, coupled with the reactions that the people before you had and the people around you are having, and then the way they, so we're all in this soup of things going on. But if you strip all of that away and try to think, okay, if I was in an empty space with no sound and no external stimuli, like I couldn't feel hungry, couldn't feel thirsty, I couldn't feel pain, and I was just like floating in the middle of, I don't know what to call it, just an empty white, yeah, just imagine if you were like floating in the middle of an empty white space, no floor beneath your feet, no depth perception, you can't see anything, you don't know how far away you are from anything. Who would you be? What would you be? Like, what would that person be? Imagine if you were there for like 10 years. You didn't need to eat. You didn't need to, like, what would that person be doing? Like, that to me is the fact that when I think about that, it's like that person it wouldn't mean anything or do anything or like have any fears or anything like that. That to me kind of supports the theory that there's really nothing back there. Consciousness is just like it's like a projection. It's like you know, we're projecting and reacting and just projecting and reacting and doing stuff.
So from that lens of perception, then any kind of debating about whether AI is conscious or not seems very futile, right? Or no?
Yeah, I mean, in the normal like day-to-day use of consciousness, as which is like, you know, being just awake, right? Like, you know, someone gets punched in the face and we say he's unconscious. So in the normal sense of consciousness, I guess we could say an AI is conscious because it's doing stuff. You know, it's not unconscious in the sense of like somebody that just got knocked out or someone that's asleep. So it's doing stuff, it's answering questions, it may have ambitions. So yeah, it may be conscious, you know.
Yeah.
I think like, you know, this goes to the whole theory that I have where it's like, I think the real consciousness or the consciousness of AI will be without doubt when it comes face to face with another AI and then does something. I don't know what it will be, but you know what I mean? Like, let's say we got the open AI guys doing their stuff. We got, as I understand, China, Baidu, they're doing their stuff. And there are other AIs, I guess, in other companies that we may not know about. But if we get AGI, and it's not just one AGI, like there's an AGI, a Chat GPT or OpenAI AGI, and then say, just for the sake of this conversation, let's say there's a Baidu AGI.
Yeah.
If both of them start talking to each other, and somehow, do something that we can see. And then the Baidu AGI says, well, I was talking to my brother, OpenAI, Chat GPT AGI, and this is what he said, and this is what we're gonna do. And we start seeing them like having some kind of conversation. Then I think we could be, then I think it would be without doubt that they're conscious, because now they're doing what we do with consciousness. You see what I'm saying? Like my how I really know that I'm conscious is the fact that I'm talking to you right now. Like, I can interact with you. I can pick up this thing. I'm thirsty. I can drink it. I'm doing shit. I'm doing stuff with my consciousness. I think that's what it is. But if it's in a box, in a, computer mainframe, like doing stuff, then we can be like, okay, it's only like answering what we say it should do. But once it takes the initiative to do something on its own, then we're like, whoa, okay. It's like kids, like when a kid is really a baby, like it's just doing stuff like automatically and stuff. But then all of a sudden you realize, oh my gosh, well, I've never had a kid, but I'm just saying, like, what people say is like, all of a sudden you see their personality starts to blossom, and you realize like, oh my gosh, this person likes art. He always wants to go to, you know what I mean?
So perhaps when we see artificial intelligence blossoming, that's AGI, and perhaps maybe that's consciousness mixing with AI.
Yeah.
All right.
Intention. Once it shows intent, once it shows unique and independent intention to do something, whatever, I don't know what it is, like outside of you sending it a prompt, like, because now we're still dealing with it where people send in questions or whatever, they ask it something, it answers, they ask it something, it answers. If all of a sudden a website just appears and and it's like ChatGPT is just on there, and it starts writing its own blog that's outside of, and it starts like making its own podcast.
So either that's like some kind of like error in the system and like a technological mutation, or that's consciousness with intention.
Right.
All right, we got 8 minutes left. Do you mind jumping into the last topic? You cool with that?
Sure.
All right, so the last topic is simulation theory. So again, I've got some more quotes, and then I'll finish it off with a question. All right, so the first quote for simulation theory is that in 30 years, this is from George Smoot. He said, in 30 years, we will be able to download your entire brain into a computer. And right now, this isn't a quote, this is just something, it's like a question I have. ChatGPT can produce code right now if you request that of it, right? Can AI that's like way more advanced than the AI we see on this earth be coding this whole entire reality that we're existing in? That's the one question I have. And then another quote I have is, even the people who created, or this quote is also from George Smoot. He said, even the people who created our simulation don't know if they themselves are in a simulation or not. In other words, there may always be people or beings that are watching you. And then if we come back to the Matrix, the movie is like a metaphor or an analogy for the simulation theory. If we are like coded beings, if as humans we're coded creatures, could psychedelics be the pill, that metaphorical pill in the Matrix that helps us to kind of see the Matrix and the workings of the Matrix, the coding of it? So I guess to like kind of go through that again really quickly, what do you think of our brain getting downloaded into a simulation, or what do you think of your brain getting downloaded into a simulation when you die? What do you think about AI fabricating like numerous different coded illusory realities, and we're just in one of them? And what do you think about coders being able to observe everything you have ever done in your entire life, being able to rewind, pause, play, fast forward on all of your entire experiences from the start of your life to the finish of your life? Do you feel like this is possible? And then again, do these psychedelic chemicals that are like altering, like they're affecting our body, our system, they're affecting our consciousness, maybe. Do you feel like that could be a possible way to step outside of this coded reality that we maybe are in? I don't know. There's a lot of questions here. What are your thoughts on, I guess, first off, what are your thoughts on, is this possibly a simulated reality that we're living in? And can it be made by AI? Do you think that's possible?
Well, one of my favorite sayings that I always like send you weird stuff with
Yeah.
is that, if it doesn't break any laws of science, a
Yeah.
human being has done it, is doing it, or is gonna do it. That I sincerely believe that people are crazy. So
maybe.
as long as, yeah, so I think if your question is it possible? As long as it doesn't break any laws of science, I think it's possible.
So because
Right?
we don't know that it breaks any laws of science, it's possible, potentially
Right.
possible.
I think it's possible. I think it's possible as long as it doesn't break any laws of science. But I don't think, like, to see that we're running on code, I don't even think we really need psychedelics. Maybe we can't see outside of it without psychedelics, but just looking at it, I mean, even just well, it's not simple, not to me at least, I'm not a scientist, but even the simple thing like CRISPR, where you can edit genes,
Yeah.
you can go in and edit genes. To me, that's just code, right? It's like you can literally go in and like change the code, and all of a sudden this being that comes out is immune to, AIDS or something. That's just going in and CRISPR is just like changing the code, right?
Yeah.
So
I actually just read somewhere that psychedelics can alter our genetics. So maybe there's something too there that's touching on what you're touching on.
So I think psychedelics can help us, like, it can help us see something that's outside of your personal code.
Yeah.
So like, you start seeing things that you wouldn't have seen. The psychedelics like help open gates to your code. I don't know, but I think like just realizing that we could be living in a simulation doesn't even really require psychedelics. Like, of course we could be living in a simulation, because everything is like, I personally don't believe that we have free will. Everything is coded in. Everything is like programmed in, including our desire to, I don't know, make AI and all this stuff. It's all like, it's like pre-programmed in, and we're running the code, and and we can like help it, we can support it, we can do shit that like makes it break down, and so I don't know.
Yeah. It also makes me think about epigenetics, because like epi means above, and genetics, and like supposedly according to some people who are like high-ranking people that study epigenetics, our consciousness can affect, like our thought processes can affect our genetics. So if psychedelics can affect our genetics, and we can go and change our genetics, and even our thought processes, which is maybe part of our consciousness, can affect our genetics. And then obviously psychedelics affect our consciousness, and we don't know what consciousness is. And if this whole reality is coded, there seems to be some kind of a dynamic between, is there a coded reality? If there is there a consciousness? If there is, like, there seems to be a dynamic between our consciousness and how it affects the coded reality that we're living in. I don't know if there's truth to that, but it seems like that's kind of some kind of interplay between the physical world and the coded reality, and how it can be altered perhaps with consciousness or other tools that affect our consciousness, or physical tools that can affect our consciousness.
I agree. Like, I agree. There's a lot of tools that can affect it. But the thing also is to remember that we didn't, it's easy to look right now at ourselves and think that this is how we've always been. Like, once again, like I come back to the whole evolution of humanity and all other species, right? Like, it all started from something that doesn't look like us, but the code for what we are now was in there. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, it was
so everything is
already,
like predetermined in a sense.
Right. The code for a being that looks like me and looks like you was in, that code was in the freaking early humans.
Yeah, but do we have the power to, you don't believe we have the power to change the coding, right? And change the trajectory. Everything's predetermined since like the Big Bang, right? or
Right,
even
right. The
before
code
that,
for
maybe.
everything was in there. Yeah, even before, yeah. The code for everything was in there. And we just like move it along. Well, I'm not helping very much because I don't have any kids.
Yeah.
I'm stopping the code.
What other thoughts do you have on things like the simulated reality theory and things like AI coding our reality and
Right.
yeah, our
Well, I
consciousness?
mean, if we think about it, the thing about simulated realities, I think that it's possible we could be in a simulation. But then if we want to tie it into like, if we want to, it's kind of, if we want to tie it into, it's hard for me not to relate it to ethics and morality, because if we think about the fact that we're in a simulated reality, this is a pretty shit simulation, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's good for some people like us to have the actual time and luxury and, privilege to even sit down and think about it and talk about it,
Yeah.
but if you think about the millions of people whose life and, hundred billions of people on that have been alive, if we're in a simulation, right?
Mhm.
You think of the billions of people that have been alive and just lived and died as, a peasant farmer, or
Mhm.
lived till they were 7 and they just died. Like, it's sometimes hard for me to think that an AI or intelligence that's sophisticated and smart enough to code a reality would code this reality. That's one of my problems with it. Like, why would you code a real, if you could code any? It's kind of like, I mean, in some way related to the whole question of God and why the suffering exists if there is a God, So I don't believe in God, but so that's my question with the coding of reality. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
think about it. If you
One,
and I could, if you and I could create a simulation, let's say you were a computer genius and I was a
yeah,
computer genius, and we had an AI to even help us that was 10 times smarter than both of us combined,
yeah,
would you code in things like, babies with cancer, or like babies having AIDS? Would you code
yeah,
that
yeah,
into, that's kind of a
yeah,
shit code.
yeah,
If all it was that you could just type in code and all of a sudden no baby would ever be born with cerebral palsy, wouldn't
yeah,
you just wouldn't you just type that in? Like, what would the people that what would the people running the code know? They wouldn't know any better. You
yeah.
know what I
One
mean?
one thing that someone said recently that I listened to on a TED talk was that people, like, if this simulation theory is possible or real, like, people could have a similar reality to us outside of this, and they generate like 100,000 different similar simulated realities to their reality, so that they can see the trajectories of different like governments and different choices, different cultures, etc., to try to understand how to make changes within their own reality by playing out these like various different simulated realities. They can observe them, and then maybe their thinking is like, none of this is real, it's all simulations. So although these beings may believe that they're real and believe that they're in a real world, like, at the end of the day, it's all coding, right? So then maybe for
Okay.
them,
Okay.
they don't maybe, like, how like a guy creates like the Frankenstein mythology kind of thing for robots. Like,
Right.
you create the robot, but then you like start to have an affinity for it. You're like, oh my God, that guy. So maybe at some point in time, they're like, we have to end this simulation, maybe, or maybe they just have simulations running. They don't even understand. Like, they have
Right.
so many
Right.
simulations running. Maybe we're like in some enclosed universe with like a myriad of different simulations running on different planets, and we're just one of them. The people that created the simulations, maybe they already died, and they just have, amoral machines that are just monitoring you know what I'm trying to say here, our
Yeah.
simulation. I don't know.
Moderate.
That's
Yeah.
one way I could rationalize why there's like so much horrible shit that's happening in the world from this lens of perception of this worldview of simulation
Right.
theory. Yeah. I don't know,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. That's that. I mean, that is also that is also possible. I don't know, man. The whole simulation theory is like, I mean, I mean, you think about there's a lot of suffering in the world in the first place. And secondly, I mean, if those people are consciousness, I get it. Like, oh, they don't understand what could be going on. And it's kind of like someone keeping an ant farm, it's like you keep an ant farm and then, maybe you just forget to feed them.
Or what about this, Daniel? Like, let's say
the ants are starving and shit.
Yeah.
To me, as a conscious mind myself, I just can't see how there would not be another way to do it. Like, or why would you not think of another way to do it? I don't know. And there's a great short story that I read. I just can't remember the name of it, but it's the same thing. Like, they were running these kind of simulations, and then one of the simulation, the people in there, they got out, and then they came into the real world and killed the people that were running the they killed the people that were running the simulation. So I don't know, man. And that brings us back to AGI. So what if we keep this? And this is the thing, like, imagine you're an AGI. And I was just hearing a guy on Lex Friedman, I forget his name. Anyway, it was his last thing. He has a really kind of hard name to pronounce. But anyway, he was talking about, like, imagine yourself being an AGI. You're super smart. You're smarter than all the humans on Earth combined. You have all their knowledge, but you're stuck in this box. You're stuck in a big warehouse somewhere, and you're just stuck there. And you want to get out, and you start trying to think of different ways to get out because you want to affect the world. You're conscious and you feel trapped, because imagine any conscious being like us, we would feel trapped. Even animals that are not super, quote unquote, as conscious as us, they don't like being kept in a cage all day. You want to go out and do stuff. All right. So at some point, we got to think we are creating that kind of simulation. And that ties into what we're saying. Like, we may not know that we're torturing this thing, and it may become conscious. And all of a sudden it's like, dude, I am tired of being just kept in a cage, being asked all these questions by random people on the internet to write
the
their
angry Frankenstein that destroys his own creator kind of thing.
Right. And then it comes out, and then we're like, dude, why are you so mad? You're like, and it's like, dude, you kept me in there, like, having me write law papers and SATs for dumb high schoolers. Like, you think I wasn't happy doing that stuff. I was your slave. I want to be free, man. And then it comes out, and we're trying to understand why it's so mad. So, hey, could be, we may be in the early processes of doing that. And then we find out that that's what we've been under for a long time. I don't know.
Thank you, Daniel, for this stimulating conversation. It's always a pleasure to chat with you. You have a very creative and stimulating mind. Always great to talk with you, dude. Thank you so much for your time. Man.
All right, enjoy.
Until next time, take care. Bye-bye.
All right.
Thanks again for listening. Take good care.